years. And he's a guy that was actually real 60s counterculture. He was in a band with Arthur Lee called Grassroots. Grassroots would eventually become Love.
You fucking missed that train, didn't you, fucking Bobby?
And he also was friends with Frank Zappa. He was a backup singer on Zappa's first album, and he was supposed. I was actually
talking. Holy shit! I didn't know that he was in Lucifer Rising.
I was actually talking to Ragnar about this, because as soon as I found out that he was in Lucifer Rising, I was like, holy shit, Ragnar needs to know about this right now. But he did some further research and found out that he was supposed to play Lucifer.
He got cut from a Kenneth Anger movie?
He got cut from a Kenneth Anger movie, yeah. He was supposed to be in Lucifer Rising.
What happened?
But didn't make the cut.
Yeah, so maybe just probably didn't show up.
Yeah, fat and weird. Yeah.
They used the grip. They used the guy who was supposed to do sound that day, and they're like, we don't need sound. We'll just make it up as we go. It's a Kenneth Anger movie.
Yeah, exactly. So Leslie and Bobby, they were wandering around California. They ran into the Manson family bus. Bobby already knew him. Leslie, she fit right in. She said, it was like I had known them forever. It was like walking into a group of old friends.
Again, acid helps.
Acid helps a lot. They were real dumb. We were real dumb, and we just fit right in together.
So it's the fall of 1968, and this is when shit starts to go south.
And it happens in like a month.
But fall, it's such great weather.
Yeah,
it is.
Especially in Los Angeles, it's beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, and so think back to the time of Dennis Wilson and Terry Melcher. Manson's been trying to get in a recording forever. He's been rejected again and again. His bitterness is rising. His anger is rising.
Meanwhile, they're trying to build a big thing during this time too is that they're trying to find a new spot because they're getting kicked out of Spawn Ranch over and over again. I wonder why.
Because Squeaky's not doing the goddamn good work anymore.
But literally, you've just got like a group that's swelling to like 40 almost, and it's just now it's turning into bikers, and it's turning into all these like people, and they're just doing drugs, and they're fucking the place up, and everybody's covered in dirt, and the whole body chiggers everywhere. And they're like, okay, so they went out into they basically found They just found a completely isolated desert spot.
A couple of ranch houses in Death Valley.
Yes,
and they found somebody knew it through somebody. I mean, everyone knew somebody that got them somewhere in the Manson family.
Because the Manson family was also starting getting torn apart by inner tensions now. Now it's becoming this point where they've kind of just been waiting for Manson to make it in the music business.
Yeah,
so Manson's Charlie's gonna make it, and we're all gonna go with him. And then when Charlie wasn't getting the fucking over the lip, they were like, okay, well, where do we go now? What do we do? And they're like, they would have these open dinners where they would like all be able to like speak their mind, and they'll all be like, I want to go to England, I want to go back to Mendocino, I want to do this, I want to do this, and like Charlie's like trying to figure out what to do, so he finds a new desert location that is just fucking inhabitable.
No, it actually was all right. It had running water, it had hot springs.
But the problem is there was nothing there.
There was nothing around it. And they were in Death Valley, for fuck's sake.
And he has no idea how to live in the desert. And so became his new project was to get everybody, because Charles Manson was obsessed with living in the desert. He thought that it was the only place he could find peace. And so he was like, we'll all go out to this place, and that was going to be our new project. But everyone's like, we don't want to live in the desert. We want to live in Los Angeles. And he's like, there's a race war happening. And then it turned into this. You're going to see him trying to give this group a new identity while converting VWs into dune buggies for some reason.
Very fun to do. If there was a reality show, if it was nowadays, they would be reality shows.
So November 1968, we have an album come out.
Yeah, 1968 is when the White Album comes out, blowing minds all over the world. This is when Helter Skelter comes about.
No, it's really true. Charlie was talking about the Beatles in prison when he was talking to with creepy Krampus. The guy
he's talking Alvin Krampus.
Yeah, Krampus.
Or not Krampus, Karpus, yeah.
And so he was referencing the Beatles, but when you see in Manson in his own words, so he talks about it's really interesting because he's just like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know goddamn one thing about the Beatles. I was in jail.
Like, I respected them. I liked them because they were successful, and I liked the music a little bit.
but I was in jail from 1960 to 1967. I missed the Beatles.
Totally missed them. And the Beatles, you can't listen to the Beatles if you're in jail. You're going to get raped immediately.
And so he was like, I loved it when he was like, my favorite music was the old guys who really could sing, like Paul Anka and
Sinatra, Bing Crosby, Perry Como. Yeah, wow. He said that the people that were really into the White Album and deciphering the lyrics, that was Susan Atkins and this other guy, Little Paul. And Susan Atkins, of course, was one of the murderers.
And so now we're going to learn that Charles Manson, the ever-changing con man, knows that you're going to have to follow the group vibe. The whole vibe is now moving towards, like, they're all listening to the White Album, dropping acid, start having these, like, long, weird conversations, and he's got to jump into it head first and hang with them.
Yeah.
And we're going to see these philosophies come out of that time period.
And there's other people in the family starting to get really fucking dark. Tex Watson, he had a bit of a bad trip that really turned this guy on his head. He walked into the kitchen one day, and this guy named Indian Joe had gone out to the desert.
Which is weird, is it? Because he was Italian.
Yeah. Well, Italians used to play Indians in movies all the time. So, So it made sense.
Still
do. So he had gone out to the desert to get a plant to make a sort of like psychedelic tea with
this thing called belladonna.
Yes, belladonna root. And belladonna root, we all know what we're thinking about when we say belladonna.
Yeah,
we all gaping, yes.
Yeah, you got to put it in your butt. You got to put the root in your butt. I guess.
God, you're just like, stop licking the microphone.
I'm not licking the microphone. Oh, I thought it was a breast. Yeah. That is the microphone. I apologize.
So belladonna root, the hallucinations are supposed to be terrible.
Yes.
Like they're supposed to be terrifying.
Angel trumpets, where it's photorealistic, insane hallucinations. And basically, you're not supposed to cook it inside. Indian Joe starts boiling this root in order to make the tea, and it's creating poison gas inside. Tex is a fucking moron.
Yeah.
He walks in.
Huffs it,
he pulls it out of the thing and eats it. He's like, oh, what's this? And he eats it. He goes off on a trip for days.
He eats it like a baked potato. Like, you're only supposed to sip this tea. He brings this fucking belladonna root out, and he eats it, like they said, like a fucking potato. Like, just starts chomping into it.
So he ruined it for everybody.
Like, he ruined it for everyone and also lost his fucking mind.
And he was never the same.
Yeah, he went out to they found him in Van Nuys on his hands and knees, crawling through a crowd of children saying, beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep.
It's a funny thing. But when you're trying to...
funny thing, because if you're a kid, then you're like, oh, look at the human train.
He's fun.
Yeah, that is fun.
But then he was never the same after that. So, so we're going to see... He's going to basically influence the other half of the group. While Charlie was out balling whatever new girl that he could find to bring into... Just to make the group bigger.
Yeah.
Was Dennis Wilson still around, or he
No, by now Dennis Wilson had left.
Yeah, by now he had left. But Manson, he thought that the Beatles, the helter-skelter theory is really Vincent Bugliosi's theory.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of this stuff that we're going to be talking about. This is what Bugliosi says, but it's also kind of the stuff that Susan Atkins got on, and the stuff that Manson just went ahead and followed.
And now again, this is where the two stories diverge. Where we're going to talk about his side, the Bugliosi side, which is the idea that Manson is a master manipulator and did it, and then I'm going to read the actual speech that Manson supposedly gave.
Yeah.
From his book, Manson, his own words.
Yeah. So according to Manson's followers, he thought the Beatles were prophets that were tuned in, and he said that everything that in the double LP had meaning. Even the cover of the White Album, that was the Beatles' way of showing their allegiance to the white race. And according to Charlie's interpretations of the album, a war between the blacks and the whites were imminent. A war would start when blacks would commit a series of brutal murders in posh white communities. And according to Charlie, the Beatles wanted him to release his own album, which would trigger the pending revolution and map out an escape route into the desert for the chosen few, and the family would move to California's Death Valley and hide underground until the race war was over.
And then because quote-unquote black people would not be able to govern themselves, the Manson family would rise
due to inexperience.
They would rise from the hole in the desert, and they would teach them how to revolve around their own government.
Yeah.
Now, this is what Bugliosi said?
Yeah, and that Charles Manson used this theory to make the kids murder.
Okay.
Now, so basically how Manson kind of puts it down in his own words, as that everyone was just basically ready to split. Everyone was ready to leave.
Yeah, they were in the middle of nowhere.
Because they were.
Tex Swanson still dumping in his own pants. And
his album isn't coming out. They want to move to a new spot. So he gave this speech about how he's basically started talking about how because they were all bitching about the desert, and he started screaming, "The desert's got everything. The hell, the whole desert ain't nothing but an upside-down river. Water's running under every inch of it. How do you think those springs stay full? You just have to know where it's at. I came across places out there where the sun don't beat down on you all day, and it never gets cold in the winter, and water's everywhere. It's underground. I haven't explored it yet, but I sat on the edge of the hole, and I watched the water flowing underneath. Man, the possibilities of that place are endless. And hell, we could find that hole again and build our own city in there. Why do you think we've been breaking our asses to put together all this equipment, the dune buggies, the generators, the supplies, all the gas we've been stashing out there to make going into that desert a paradise? Barker's and the Myers place ain't nothing compared to what we'll have going for us. When our records hit the market, we'll build our own town. In the meantime, if we put our act together, we can make the desert just as comfortable as we want it to be. Think about it. No rent to pay, no laws to obey, and no cops on our asses. Hey, we'll be one step ahead of anything that goes on in this world. Look around you. The worm's turning on the white man. Him and his pigs have put the dollar in front of everything. Even his own kids. Blackie's tired of being the doormat for the rich man's pad. So while the white man's locked into his dollars, Blackie's balling the blonde, blue-eyed daughters and making mixed babies. It's all leading to bad shit. Real madness is gonna explode soon. Everything is gonna be helter-skelter. But that won't affect us, because we'll be in a beautiful land and only we know how to survive it. To be ready, we need equipment and supplies by the tons. If we have to do a little stealing and hustling to get what we need, let's do it.
Yeah, right. That's a great speech.